Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Michael Rathburn, aka Rath, with another Rath Learning Curve, and we're still in our series, How to Win DFS College Football. And this tip tonight, we're going to be talking about tight end strategy, and I'm going to give you in a little bit of secret as far as how I do tight ends. Now, tight end is a little bit tricky in college because a lot of offenses don't use the tight end, so there's very few top tier tight ends. And when you want to use a top tier tight end, you're going to end up having to pay up, and they're not consistent, and there's really no upside. So it's a very difficult strategy to try to employ. If you happen to have the salary relief and you can put a guy in there like an Evan Ingram from Ole Miss, then you definitely want to go ahead and do it. But you don't want to do it against tough defensive teams. You want to do it when there's high potent offenses and big scores in play. So here's something that I do, and not sure how many other guys do this, but it's something that's worked for me. Is I look at the NFL draft projections on CBSSports.com. We're going to do a screen share here in a bit. But what I do, I look at who the top-rated tight ends are for future NFL drafts, 2016, 2017, 2018, and I take note of the guys that are in the top 5, top 10. And if any of those guys happen to be, extremely minimum price salaries on these sites, that's somebody I'm probably going to lock in on, provided that, they are used in the offense. They're in a pro style offense, and, the team is known for having a pretty good mix of run and pass, and they do rely on the tight end quite a bit. So you're going to see that, most of your major schools are going to be kind of where you want to go with this. There's just certain teams, certain conferences that don't utilize the tight end. For the most part, you're going to realize that there's just certain teams that use the tight end repeatedly in their offense, and that's where you want to go. So, you don't want to take any chances on the tight end just because it happens to be a high total. You don't want to take a chance on a tight end that's not used. So one of the things that we look at, and we'll dig into it here, is let's look at some of these rankings. And we go over here and CBSSports.com, NFL Draft, Prospect Rankings, 2016 tight ends. And we got 5 guys in the top. We got Nick Vannett from Ohio State, Kyle Carter, Penn State, Dylan Gordon, LSU, Bryce Williams, East Carolina. East Carolina is interesting, a big offense there. Ryan Malik at Virginia Tech. So, what I'm going to be looking at is what did these guys do in previous seasons? And these are all seniors, and so they're all pretty good. Are these blocking tight ends? Are they involved in the offense, etc.? So these are some guys I'm going to kind of take note of. And then some of the smaller school guys I definitely want to take note of. You got this Craig Head from San Diego State, and then moving down the line here. So let's go to 2017. You got O.J. Howard out of Alabama, Hunter Henry out of Arkansas, Johnny Munt out of Oregon, Billy Freeman out of San Jose State, which has put up some pretty good numbers at the tight end position. Evan Ingram, who, if he probably is the #1 tight end right now in college fantasy football, outside of the kid from FIU, and so that would be the guy there. Greenidge is a guy that I know I used last year a little bit. So become familiar with these top 5 guys at these major schools. And San Jose State's not going to be in a lot of the player pools, so that's going to be tough. But just be aware of some of these names, and if there happens to be some pricing discrepancies and these guys are undervalued, that's where you really want to take advantage. So let's go to 2018 and look at some of these guys here. This is where the real value comes in. These are sophomores who may or may not have started last year. I've definitely recognized some of these names from last year. Austin Hooper at Stanford. Stanford's put out a ton of tight ends. Jeb Blazovic at Georgia. Bucky Hodges at Virginia Tech. Durham Smythe at Notre Dame. Notre Dame has put out a ton of tight ends in the NFL. And then Greg Hart at Nebraska, who could be interesting as they go to a more pass-friendly offense. So, again, these are some of the names that you want to become familiar with. And, we're going to have some of this stuff up on rotocurve.com as far as, we'll identify those tight end values. But it's tough. Tight end is tough. but this is a way that you can identify some values coming in early on and hopefully hit on some of these tight ends. So we'll come back over, and that's just one strategy that you can use for tight end. Another strategy that I use is if a stud tight end happens to get suspended or injured for whatever reason, and a backup is going in, then that's an opportunity for you to get a minimum salary tight end and plug them in to a positive situation. So those would be the two critical ways that you can do your tight end strategies coming up for DFS College Football. Thanks again for joining us with this video, and we will be back shortly with another How to Win DFS College Football here on Rath's Learning Curve with rotocurve.com. Thanks again.